everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, our weekly podcast hosted by Natalie McFarland, me, and founder and president of McFarland Productions, and Scout Foster, our outreach marketing manager. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films, and of course, invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 15 of McFarland Minutes, your soft launch to Monday. This week we have two of the coolest people I know in the industry and really great friends of mine, Andrea and Carly with Editorial Edge. Welcome. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I don't know who wants to start first. Maybe we'll go in alphabetical order.
Oh, dang. Always gets me.
Do you want to introduce yourself and kind of your background, and then we'll go to you, Carly.
Totally. My name is Andrea Thorpe. I am the first half of Editorial Edge, kind of the creative director side. My background is in Western fashion, so actually, to start, I went to Iowa State and I was in college rodeo there. I grew up in that world, and I started a fashion blog in 2016 because actually one of my college professors said, you should be, I was in agricultural communications, but she said, you should be pursuing whatever this is you have going on, because the way I dressed and the things I was doing in life. And so she actually is the one who got me to start documenting that. And I was trying to mix it with rodeo and kind of those passions, which led me to moving to Fort Worth, Texas with my husband in 2018, where I got a job in Western fashion as the fashion editor for Cowboys and Indians magazine, which eventually led to doing that same role for Cowgirl Magazine. And yeah, now we're out on our own, just expanding on editorial knowledge and also having grown those relationships with retailers and more people in the industry. Obviously, the great city of Fort Worth that we live in, there's so many connections here. And that's really opened the doors to be able to be out on my own. And with Carly, we met at Cowgirl and just hit it off doing photo shoots and different projects together. And that's how Editorial Edge got its start.
Awesome. I have questions for how you end up where you are, but let's go to Carly first. Carly, will you intro yourself and a little bit about you, your background, what you're doing now?
Yes. So I'm Carly Billington, and I am the second half of Editorial Edge. And my background, I grew up with horses and I rodeoed from junior rodeos all the way through college. I went to New Mexico State. I got a scholarship to rodeo for them, and also got my MBA while I was there. And I always thought I wanted to go into vet pharmaceutical sales. And I got a job while I was finishing my master's program and hated it. And just kind of stuck it out. And I was just open to new opportunities. Discovered that Cowgirl Magazine was based in Cave Creek, which was right up the road from my house. And so I just kind of shot my shot. I had mutual friends with a girl that worked with them, and I messaged her and just kind of said, hey, do you guys have any openings? She's like, yeah, actually, we just have one opening up like Monday. And so I applied, and I was the features editor and digital marketing manager for about 3.5 years. And after that, I got the opportunity to pursue some freelance work with different publications and businesses, and now here we are.
Quite the duo you two are. I don't think that there's I feel like if I think of Andrea, I think of Carly and Andrea, right? Like you guys are just such a pair and work so well together, and it's obvious in the industry. What I love about Carly, your story is that it's a little bit like crooked like mine, right? Like I went to school to be in pre-veterinary medicine, so thought I was going to be a veterinarian. I worked in vet med for quite a while, and realized I didn't love it. And so I wanted to kind of marry passions. So that's kind of where I ended up where I am now. Scout, you also were a vet tech too, right?
I was, yeah. I found ag communications a little bit earlier than you, so
You did.
we don't have to go down that whole vet tech road. But
Yeah, for sure.
I learned
Well,
quickly that I was scared of cats and didn't want to do that.
yeah, cats, man. Um, But we have had so much fun working with you two, both through Cowgirl, but especially now that you guys are out in Editorial Edge, working last fall in New York City. That was a wild, rainy, wet, scooter-filled week.
But
But but very somehow fun. I don't know how you can spend like 8 hours in the rain solid and still have fun. It's probably the company, but um so, you guys have now formed Editorial Edge. Tell me about Editorial Edge and what you guys are doing with that.
I'll start, I guess.
Okay.
So Editorial Edge kind of came together because Carla and I both really, like I said before, really enjoy working together. And we're already just complementing each other in our work because we both went to freelance basically at the same time. So we were constantly bouncing ideas off of each other for, whether it was a story pitch or it's for me, I would bounce ideas off of her for like photo shoot planning and mood boards. And we were constantly just playing off of each other's strengths. And eventually we kind of just like put our heads together and said, why isn't this an official thing? The industry, we have kind of branded ourselves as this, we call it the dream team, where, you get both sides of creative and writing and just kind of like an inside scoop on the editorial industry between the two of us. And I would like to think that we have a lot of friends in that industry. They can come to us and it's not this intimidating thing to try to work in editorial when you're working with us, because we're your friends and we're just going to give it to you straight and help you get good business. But anyway, so Editorial Edge was formed with that idea in mind that we can create these awesome visuals for print. We can help with advertising, we can do public relations, all based around the magazine and publication industry, because it's kind of a secretive, not on purpose, but it's kind of like a if you know type of industry of how to get coverage and how to be featured and get people to notice you. And we've been in the industry between the two of us. I think we figured up it was like 15 years of experience.
Yeah, something like that.
So we really do have that literal editorial edge on both organic print, really great performing ads, just understanding what editors are looking for because we've both been those editors. So that's really the beginning of how that all came together.
Yeah. I think what's so cool about that is like we have dabbled, right? Like we've done pieces of advertising pieces, we've done some copywriting and that sort of thing, but really haven't done that deeply. So working together with you guys has been such a pleasure because y'all know that world. We can contribute from the digital side of it, or provide content or things like that. So that's been really fun. Carly, you are a great editor and a great writer. What made you love writing so much?
Honestly, I didn't come from a huge creative writing background. I wrote a lot through 18 years in school and it just became second nature to me. But then when I started with Cowgirl and getting to do the more casual blogs and articles, if you will, for the girls, it was just so fun. And meeting new people is just awesome. There's so many cool people in this industry. And that's just really, I guess that's what grew my passion, was getting to tell people's stories, because there's so many people with so many different backgrounds and there's just so much to talk about, I guess, if that was a good answer.
Yeah, no, that was great. Scout, being a writer yourself, what
Mhm.
what questions do you have for the editorial world?
Honestly, I've been sitting here thinking that we need to get like an OOTD from both of them because I feel like they are like the epitome of Western fashion. And that's literally all I've been sitting here thinking. So I cannot say on the writing side of it, but I need you both to walk through your outfits for me. It can be here or it can be after this podcast, but I'm gonna need some links or something.
I can do mine. I gave Natalie my little show. So my
Oh,
shirt
perfect. Yeah.
is double D. And naturally, I do
I'm
work
loving
from
this.
home.
I
I call this
100%. I have
business on top,
joggers on.
casual on the bottom.
Is it kind of like is this like, have we since 2020 turned into like the mullets of fashion? It's like
Yes.
business on the top, party on the bottom,
Yes.
or maybe cozy on the bottom. I don't
Absolutely.
know.
I'm not fixing to sit at home in jeans, okay?
Okay. Anyway, on to me. I am sitting in jeans, but they're loose jeans. They're comfy jeans.
Oh, they're
But I
cute.
got
I
this
love them.
little Free People top and a bolo, vintage bolo that actually Carly helped me find. She was gatekeeping an auction from me, and she finally shared the information. So
Oh.
yeah, so I've got this lovely deal. Oh, and Carly, we can't forget. You better have yours on, or I'll be upset. We also have our
We got
friendship
friendship
rings.
rings.
Here, this one.
I love it.
So
Oh, that was gonna be bad. What if Carly didn't have it on?
I was like, are
I
we
know.
not friends or
Technically,
what?
we have two. One's a pinky ring, but I'm not wearing mine.
Yeah,
But
I've got
this is the main one.
this was from we took a trip to Santa Fe for a photo shoot, and that was our little memento from the trip.
I love Santa Fe. We went when I was a kid, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I grew up an aviation kid, right? So my dad had a Comanche 260. We've actually since bought the plane from them, but it's a little four-seater single prop wing underplane, but that sucker will get somewhere, right? So we've been all over the country in this thing, and I can remember we stopped there. I had to have been, I don't know, 8 years old or something like that, and there was an art fair downtown and all the Adobe buildings and stuff, and I just thought it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, all the handmade jewelry, and there was, like, these pan flutes that were crazy cool. I remember every detail about that, and I have a terrible memory for anything before, like, 6th grade. So Santa Fe really stuck with me. What shoot did you guys do there?
We did a shoot for Cowgirl. I don't remember
It
exactly
was
what season. Was it fall?
it was fall, and it was called Southwestern Allure, and we shot basically in
shot
the
it
mountains outside of Santa Fe, and
Oh,
it
man.
was like a
Yeah, we
dream.
got to
And
hang out.
basically, as a Midwestern girl who like dreamed of the West but only lived in the mid part of the West, I like always Santa Fe was like
Mid.
I modeled my life around the idea of being a Santa Fe girl and had never gone until that photo shoot. I had never actually been there. My
Oh,
whole
man.
house is modeled after the idea of what I think Santa Fe is, but I got pretty close, honestly.
I bet you were pretty
Yeah.
close. You know what I think I love about Santa Fe so much from, like, a creative perspective is just, like, the color
Oh
palette
yeah.
is so
Mhm.
perfect no matter where you look. I think it's just stunning. So, anyway, that had to have been a very cool shoot. I'm trying to think if I've seen it. I'm sure I've seen it, on Cowgirl, but anyway.
It was so fun too
Um
because we got to hang out with Amanda from Peyote Bird and just
Oh,
seeing their
cool.
collection, going into the vault. That was like an unreal experience too.
Yeah. What's, like, one of the coolest shoots you guys have gotten to do together? What's one that's just, like, a highlight for you guys?
For
Um
me, I think it was probably at Paws Up,
oh,
up in
Oh,
Montana.
that would be a really cool one.
Yeah, that one was just so fun. The shoot was cool. It was beautiful. Just the whole experience. That was
Yeah.
we've been dying
Paws
to go
Up is a
back.
very unique place.
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe we need to have a retreat up there.
Hey, tell us when. We
No.
love calls up. That's
Here's my arm.
actually
Just go ahead and twist it.
yeah. That's actually my favorite shoot too. Was Pause Up. It was like, there's so many things that people don't think about when it comes to photo shoots. Like outside of just obviously like the beauty of the place we're going to and all the experiences, there's also just like logistics and things that as like someone who's producing the photo shoot, it's like how am I like, yeah, I love the idea of going into the mountains and shooting, but I'm like, how are we going to get all of this product up there? And how is this all going to
Yeah.
work? And their team their team is top notch anyway. Shout out to Pause Up if they see this. Like they're so good, always on top of it. But I was absolutely amazed of how they got, I don't even know how many boxes, probably 40, at least 40 boxes of jewelry, clothes, hats, boots up into, these cabins in the middle of not middle of nowhere, but kind of Montana.
It's up there. It's not in the middle of town
No, and
for sure.
it was a feat to get that, but that was definitely one of the coolest shoots we've done. And then I think Santa Fe would be right behind that in terms of experiences together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like that actually brings up a really great point that I'm sure like at Editorial Edge is really like a benefit of working with you guys is working on shoots that like require some serious logistics. Like how do I even make the thing happen now that we have this crazy idea? Can you talk some about like how you guys handle that and what you've done to be able to make that easier on a client?
Well,
Honestly,
I can start with just kind of the things people don't think about is the production timeline, because, and this is
Mhm.
something I'm sure we can talk on later, is that people are already, usually when they're thinking about pitching stories or any content, they're already behind the editorial timeline because we produce so far in advance. So when it comes to a fashion photo shoot, for me, it's, at least 6 weeks ahead of time that we're planning. And really, I'm planning looks that could be 4 to 6 months ahead of time. So I have to do a lot of research and look into kind of what the trending colors are supposed to be, a lot of the themes that we're seeing on the runways, things that, funny enough, the Western industry usually trickles down after a couple of years. So those may or may not even be relevant. I just have to go off of what I think and,
Mhm.
create from that place. But it's 6 weeks of logistics of just creating the themes, getting our, just our photographers, our models, our backdrops, and all within budget. We need to make sure there's a place to store boxes that are shipped. There has to be some sort of uh, categorization. Did I say that right? Of all of the boxes and the inventory that comes in, because a lot of these vendors, they're shipping us thousands, tens of thousands of dollars worth of product. So there's a lot of just integrity in making sure that everything is handled well and gets back to them in the condition that it comes. I mean, there are so many moving pieces to a photo shoot that, from an outside, it looks like, yeah, they just went to a mountain and, put a model up there, but it's actually, 6 to 8 weeks of prep, at the least,
Yeah.
all within budget constraints. And we get very creative in making all of that work and keeping it fresh and fun and interesting.
yeah, we really
Yeah,
do
and
have it down to
also
a science in terms of
yeah.
keeping everything organized, noting down who sent what, taking photos, making sure, like Andrea said, everything is packed up and everything is taken care of.
It also might be worth
How are
noting
you guys
on like our roles, because obviously I have kind of the fashion background. Carly is like our crew chief role, so she's handling making sure everything is going smoothly in terms of timing of the photo shoot, making sure, like I said, all of that important work of making sure that all of that inventory is taken care of, making sure we know what's there and that it all gets unpacked and repacked, and all of that is Carly. And she's an exceptional, she has great taste. So of course I bring her in on, if I'm stumped, I'm like, what do I do with this thing, that I need to get in a photo? And she's very helpful. But that's kind of our dynamic on a shoot with all of the moving pieces going on.
Yeah, there's nothing better than, like, working with somebody that, like, just kinda completes your brain a little bit, you know? Like, I feel like Scout and I work together and, like, kinda have that maybe sometimes we're a little bit too much on the same path and we need a third opinion, but most of the time, like, we're able to bounce ideas off of each other and, like, really make something cool out of maybe just a pretty minor idea at first, so, yeah, I get that. Having the right partner in crime is
Essential.
is a good thing
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
think it's so special to find someone that you work so well with and just to be
Mhm.
able to form such a strong partnership. Like Andrea and I, we have very similar communication styles. We're very direct, and I feel free to talk to her about anything. And it's just, it's fun being able to work with your friend and be successful at it. I mean, I know not everyone can say the same, but I'm very, very blessed to have her.
Yeah.
Do you guys pull like the we need to talk
Um,
to each
Um,
other? Because I do that a
I
we
think
lot.
we only do if she ignores my phone call. I'll text her like a crazy
Mhm.
ex-boyfriend and say, "Hey, I'm in your walls. Can
Mhm.
you like answer?"
So Scout and I do it to each other all the time. We're just like, "Hey, don't let me forget that I have a thing I need to talk to you about. later, and neither one of us can stand it.
Absolutely not. Right now.
We're like,
You're thinking
actually,
about it
I'm
right now. We're
free.
talking about it right now.
I'm now free.
Well, and to be fair, our conversation never really stops because, like Carly said, I think it is really rare when you can be like actual, like real friends, like not just work friends, but like we're real friends in
Yes.
real life. We're tight. And then also get along so well with work. So like not only is the stream of communication never stopping, but also we just peppered in and we're like, we're like, what did you eat for breakfast? And then it's like, hey, should we talk about should we go through, whatever, this theme that we have going on or this client and it's just like, we just weave it in. So we never really have to there's never miscommunication because we never stop communicating.
Yeah, for sure. Something that's kind of cool about the two of you and something that we get like very like on an intimate level is working remote from each other, but making it work. How do you guys handle like working together but remotely working? What do you think is the key to making that work?
Constant communication, honestly, because Andrea's in Texas, I'm in Arizona, and I think just as a society, since we've gone more remote, people have an easier time navigating that. But it really is just constant communication, being on top of, any current projects we have. And if one of us needs to fly to the other, it's no problem. We make a plan and we try to plan that trip to have maximum efficiency. Whether or not it always works out, but yeah, we definitely try,
Yeah, that happens.
and we definitely want to be as efficient as possible in everything we do.
I also think
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
I also think it's
Go
helpful
ahead.
that like creatively, it's kind of cool that we're in different places. Fort Worth is one of those like obviously it's a Western hub and everyone is very unique. This is not me saying we're all like a hive mind of thinkers by any means, but sometimes it's nice to look at other parts of the West that's like with so much of the industry clustered right here. It's nice to have perspectives that are not Texas because we can really be in our own bubble in terms of creative and location and whatever. So it's fun to have Carly's kind of more southwestern Arizona approach to some things. Even when we're talking about planning photo shoots, or obviously Cowgirl was based in Arizona, so I would fly there and work there, and it was kind of nice just to have like different perspectives and different locations commingling, and I think we got better results sometimes because of that, just because we're not all coming from the exact same vein of Western.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Something that we run into a lot is like Scout's originally from Florida. Now she's from Texas, and I'm in Oregon, right? How you cowboy, whatever version of that it is, how you cowboy is extremely different in all of those spaces, and like little things are different and can contribute to an authentic voice in that area, right? So like if you're working with a client who's primarily Pacific Northwest, you can't talk like you're from Texas, right? Because you're just going to not sound legitimate. Like you just don't sound right. Your voice is not quite there. So being able to have like people spread out across the country as we're working with people that are across the country kind of helps because Cowboys kind of have a dialect,
Absolutely.
for sure. But I feel like we run into that a lot. Like I can remember one time I was working on a ranch in Texas, and this was for a purebred cattle breeder guy. But he was giving me directions on how to find them at a particular set of branding pens on the ranch, right? And he said, like, take the first gate and then turn left at the tank. Well, I'm from Oregon. A tank is an above grade container, right? Whether it's like metal or plastic, it's like an above grade water thing. He meant a pond. He meant a pond.
A dirt tank?
In my Yes, like a dirt tank, like a tank trap. Not like I didn't turn at the tank because there was no tank from my Oregonian brain. So anyway, that kind of stuff does happen all the time. So creatively, you're absolutely right. Being spread out actually does, I think, help in that perspective for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surrounded by desert and cactus, but also if you go a few hours north, it's pine trees. So we get a little bit of
Mhm.
everything here.
Yeah, for sure. Um Let's talk about PR a little bit. We've talked about editorial quite a bit, but what does PR look like? How do you guys work with clients in a way that like helps them maybe get published more or get written about more? How does that process look?
So I think where we have an advantage is we already do have these connections with different publications already. And so that's really what it comes down to, is having, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, having relationships with different people and having that open line of communication where, we can come to them and say, hey, we have so and so, or we have this certain story. We think that it would be great. And just we have that ability to tailor certain angles to certain publications in a way that makes sense for them.
How do you pick like what publications for a particular person, right? So like we can make up a fake person that we're writing about maybe to make this example a little bit or easier, but like how are you selecting various publications for particular clients?
I think we kind of have to work backwards from just who that client is. Typically, I personally, I like to hit both like a Western angle and also more of a lifestyle angle, because the goal is to not only hit your industry, but to continue to expand it, in my view, I think our view of PR. So not only are we going for the obvious, big Western publications, but we also want to hit maybe, outdoor or travel or food, depending on who that client is. Maybe it's, a resort, or let's say Pause Up, because we love them, like Pause Up can obviously hit the core Western audiences, but we can also hit like a luxury travel situation. We can tell people, hey, Western vacations are a really cool idea, and we can pull that other audiences in that way. And I think it's all just about being open-minded to not only solidifying the authority of that client in their world, but also just continuing to bring new eyes. And we know as editors, because, your inbox when you are an editor at a magazine is constant PR, it's constant pitches. And a lot of it ends up being noise. It can be very irritating to get constant emails from people trying to get you to pick up a story. And so a lot of it, in our view, is we're not going to send the same press release out to 20 different contacts. We're going to try to tailor those stories directly and do that research based on their tone, based on what they're reporting on already, the things that have been in recent issues. And those are things that, editors know to look for, because that's how we plan our own content for whatever publication we're working with. So it makes sense from a PR angle too, but most people just don't know how those processes work. So staying ahead of their editorial calendar, really just doubling down on, their voice, their content interests, and then keeping in mind the balance of both core Western and how can we get new eyes on whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're like at a time in the industry where that works really well too. Like we're fortunate to be in an industry right now where the outside of the industry is kind of interested, right? Like how can we leverage that as an industry and help grow the industry while growing clients, right? So I like all of us are focused on like the stats and figures for our particular clients, but the reality of what I think we're doing and you guys are doing is building the industry up. And part of that is through PR that is not within industry.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're really achieving it if you're not reaching out outside of the industry a little bit, to try to bring a few more people in. We got the opportunity to work with Colorado Christian University, which is certainly not a rodeo college by any means, but this was in 2021, and we did a series of 6 30-minute films of different issues that impact the West. One of the films in particular was on the sport of rodeo. So we were presenting this to people all across the world. Actually, 17 different countries viewed this, and we had about 6,000 live viewership people online, as well as the 5,000 people in-house the day of the conference. And the cool thing about being able to do that piece on rodeo was, one, it's where we come from, right? but it's also being able to bring that to people who otherwise maybe have never even watched a rodeo or possibly have some political ties to, be able to help with legislation. We were able to introduce multiple politicians to rodeo through that work. And it was pretty fun to watch like how it developed in legislation after that. So that's a very specific example, but I think being able to do that PR work outside the industry is good for all of us. So that's a huge thing. Certainly want to stick to your core audience, but don't forget there's others out there that maybe could love you too.
Yeah, especially because cowboy and just Western culture has gone so mainstream that everyone wants a part of it. It's fun to put content out there that maybe they're not familiar with. Like I said earlier, there's so many unique stories in the Western industry, and just being able to get those out to people who otherwise would have no idea, it's pretty amazing.
I'd
Yeah,
also like
for
to
sure.
add
We've
just on like in addition to the writing, which we, obviously promote very heavily on the PR side of like these tailored advertorials, we're also taking a dynamic approach in terms of different kinds of content, trying to promote, some influencer work, sending creators out to these places to make unique content that then we can repackage and, have it accompany these stories and have it be more of like, instead of kind of a static page that you're reading, you're getting a very dynamic story through photo, video, writing, different pieces that we create that are similar to some of our editorial work. But we do like, what do we call it, Carly? Like
it's just kind of like an immersive experience. It's a little more interactive, like Andrea said, as opposed to just reading a story and looking at some photos. It's a real, true behind the scenes look of these different locations and brands that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. I love that, like being able to utilize similarly presented material, but in completely different facets, being able to present it in different ways. I am so much more of an audio person or a video person than I am like a read it. Like pretty much if it's longer than 4 lines, it's pretty much TLDR unless I'm very, very interested in the thing, like like I don't have the patience to sit there and read through a whole thing, but if I can listen to it, if I can watch it, I'm there for it. Scout's gonna say that she's the opposite of me, but
Yeah, I'm utterly disappointed in you for even saying that, but it's fine.
I think another thing
It's whatever.
too is incorporating that video is such a big deal because short form video is, the way of the future. Everyone's attention spans, they're like that. And so you want content that's really going to hook people.
engage quickly. Yeah, engage quickly for sure. I don't want to get too far off editorial edge, but Andrea, you have a very cool other business. Do you want to talk some about your fashion rental business?
Of course. Yeah, we are women of many hats. Between Carly also is my confidant in Silk and Saddle as well. I have a Western fashion rental company called Silk and Saddle. My tagline is the best of the West borrowed. So I specialize in kind of more high-end luxury items, designers such as Lindsay Thornburg, Double D Ranch, Ralph Lauren, also some turquoise jewelry, all of the stuff that the girls want to wear. And it's basically, a big trend to use rental services. There's Newly, Rent the Runway. There's so many mainstream versions of that. But this is the first of its kind, at least of this scale in the Western industry. So actually, since this is video, can I plug? Because I have a cute postcard.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you
I
can.
have the cutest little postcards I just got in.
Ooh, it is
Yeah,
cute.
you scan my QR code, you can get 20%. 20% off your order.
We need all of your links.
Yep, and Carly did the photography on this, so
Oh, I didn't know that. Nice job,
yeah,
Carly.
Thank
she
you. I feel like an
Wow.
unofficial shareholder of Silk and Saddle because I've seen it from the very beginning, from an idea and just watching it come to fruition. Because I'm one of those girls where if I have an event coming up, I'm buying a new outfit. That's just how it is.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to rewear something. I have to have a new outfit. I don't know why my brain is wired that way, but it is. And I just think it's a great concept because you can have these great pieces for a fraction of the price, and then they're not just going to sit in your closet.
Well,
Yeah, you're not gonna wear it once and it go away. I've always wanted, like, when we've done some events, like at the NFR and things like that. I'm like, man, I'd love to have one of those Ralph Lauren dresses, but I cannot justify
Yeah.
the price tag long term, right? Like, I'm just not gonna wear it enough to make it make sense. So yeah, I love the silk and saddle concept and can't wait to see it continue to grow.
yeah. Well, and it's funny because it all comes back to this, obviously we keep pushing the word editorial, but that really is like the base of a lot of the things I think we're passionate about in business is, I started collecting these clothes because I am a fashion girl, but being a fashion editor, it was part of my job to be on top of what's coming out. I'm getting samples in the mail, I'm visiting market and seeing all of these things. So my closet was constantly packed, and I actually had this is a good incentive to be my friend, but when I get too many samples, I hoard them up in my attic and then I give them away for Christmas presents. So some of my good friends get boots.
Shoot, we need to be
Yeah,
closer
they
friends.
get boots and
Apparently, we're not
hats
as
and
close as I
t-shirts.
thought.
You wouldn't believe what. Yeah, some of the gifts I've given, I have a rep, to uphold. But anyway, but it was interesting because I always had this closet full of things, and it was actually just a natural step to be able to share those things. Because I already kind of had that spirit anyway of like, I want other people to enjoy it and wear it. I relate that way and I want more people to be able to have access to those things. I'm a big proponent of not engaging fast fashion and, you know, investing in things that are going to last a long time, even if it's a rental. You don't have to spend $4,000 on a jacket. You can rent it from me, and it's still better for your closet than or the environment or whatever it is you care about that. Going out and buying something
Yeah.
that you're going to wear once. So yeah, so it was just a natural thing, but it all came from being a fashion editor and knowing when to share clothes. So, including with Carly, she
Mm.
she and I have swapped some jewelry around and some different things. We're both big Double D Ranch fans. Shout out to the Double D fan or
Aw.
Double D team. We're like,
Man, I have my eye on a Double D jacket. It's kind of an older one, like it's been around for a while, but gosh, someday I'm gonna own that dang jacket.
oh yeah,
It's just too good.
yeah. Well,
It's so beautiful. But,
and I will say
um,
one other thing about that with we do ship now. Last year we weren't shipping, so now we ship nationwide, and also
Are
we
you going
do
to the post
pickups
office?
in Fort Worth. So if you come in for a Fort Worth event
Mm.
with all the things that go on here, you can rent that way.
Scout's not that far from you. You
Yeah,
might
come
have
on,
just gained
Scout, come
a
on over.
forever customer.
I would need like a full styling session. I am not a
Hey,
fashion gal.
Yeah, I'm
I
kind
don't
of with
even
you.
know what's good. You tell me what to wear and I'll wear it,
done
you
and
know?
done.
Speaking of trends and staying on top of them, obviously you guys do more than fashion, but as you are out looking for trends, I have kind of a two-part question here. One, how do you guys best stay on top of trends that you think are coming in the future, and how do you predict those things? And two, what are your, I'm going to say 2026 trend projections because we're almost halfway through the year. So I feel like we can start talking about 2026. What are your thoughts on that?
No, 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 no. We should talk about what we should wear for the NFR this year so we have time to buy them
Oh, maybe that.
or rent them.
Maybe
So
that.
could you tell us about don't worry about 26 right now. Tell us about the NFR this year.
Wait, are we talking like fashion trends or just like general trends?
I think maybe both. I think maybe both because I think you guys have done some stuff in home goods. You guys have done some stuff with, um, you know, uh, nonprofits and things like that, but also fashion. So however you guys want to break that down, I'll leave it open to you.
I'm going to start with fashion. I think we're seeing a shift in people wearing what they want and not necessarily sticking to a specific trend. I think that's the trend is wearing what makes you happy, whether or not it's considered in style at the time or not. I think Andrea can attest to that. I think that's something she's very
Yeah.
familiar with.
I do think we've kind of hit this weird place where trends have started to turn over so quickly. You know, we're in the era of TikTok Shop and Facebook ads that follow you around on your internet browsing history. You know, the things that you buy, by the time you get them, it's like they're not even in fashion anymore, it seems like. And I think a lot of people are kind of tired of that system. And so we actually are seeing a rise in people looking to the past and saying, what are those items that have always been in style? The capsule wardrobes, you know, the things that I think popular decades right now. The 70s have been popular for a long time. We're like 10 years into boho at this point, 15 years into boho, which I love. So I hope it never goes away. But the 70s, the 90s are obviously big on a mainstream level.
Well, the 90s kind of hurts my soul because it makes me feel old.
I get it.
Yeah.
Something about being from the 1900s just makes me want to shrivel up and pass away.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think people are looking for they're just tired of how quickly, you know, oh, you're not cool because you're not with whatever this tiny trend is.
Because you don't have blueberry milk nails, and all they're just pale blue nails.
Yeah,
why do we have to give names to everything?
But and also, so we're seeing like a big rise in vintage styling, yes, but also just people looking back to say, hey, those Levi 501s, those have been popular for decade after decade after decade, and then buying into statement pieces that really work for you and for your personal style. Don't fill your closet with that. Don't make that the main thing. But you know, invest in that double D jacket that you can put with 3 pairs of pants and 2 skirts and whatever in your closet. And I think people are starting to get the hang of that and also value things that don't break down after 1 or 2 times in the wash.
So obnoxious.
That's the big one. But if you want a trend, I did actually just start trend forecasting for fall. So I can tell you, funny enough, I mean, Western is still having its moment. I think we've been in the spotlight for a while now. So it's waning a little bit from like what it was maybe a couple years ago during Yellowstone times. However,
sure.
On runways and you know, looking into fall, the color palettes are actually very southwestern, very warm, rustic, you know, very much still up our alley. So if you are into the trend forecast, you can totally still mix in all of your cool western things. And it actually is very on trend at the moment. Even if it's just like, you know, a leather belt or a vest or a jacket, you know, that's just those like typical ranch wear items. It's very cool right now.
In terms of non-fashion, I think what's trending is getting to know the people behind the brand. No matter how small or large your brand is, I think we are seeing a shift of people want to know like who works for this company or this company and get to know them and their background and kind of what their days look like.
I saw a reel, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, Scout, I think I sent it to you, but it was another marketing agency that basically like ran a test where they would put the polished video up and then they would put the like how we made it video up, and they did it like multiple times, and every single time the how we made it video like quadrupled the amount of views as the actual like polished finished piece. So
Yeah.
like it's true even in the video world, like that maybe they actually just want to see how it was done. You know, like the finished thing is great, but why do I care?
Yeah, I think people just really want authenticity. Just going back to the people behind the company, even on social media, it's like they want to know that that they're talking to a real person behind the screen. And yeah, the non-polished stuff, I'm answering this horribly, but I had a thought. Just essentially people want authenticity. That's really what they're looking for.
I also want to say, as an example, a working example of that, I actually just watched a TikTok about Chili's success in Q1. They had like a 31% jump in sales. And all these other restaurants are like, well, how did that happen? And it's because, have you guys seen all those videos of the mozzarella cheese pulls all over
Yes.
TikTok. They have these mozzarella
I
sticks.
think I've missed them, but
So basically,
somehow the mozzarella cheese hasn't made it to me.
so
But
basically they it just became like this super viral thing, and people started going and just ordering these like triple dippers full of mozzarella cheese, and it's my For You page was absolutely packed with just like everyday people from any neighborhood anywhere, just like having a blast, with their margaritas and like doing a giant mozzarella cheese pull at the table. And they said, nobody cares about polished, marketing. They said if you would have put a commercial with that same cheese pull with some food designer, spraying, shiny, whatever on it to make it look more appealing, all of that. He said that probably would have been watched by a grandma in a doctor's office and no one else would care. But, everybody thinks it's way more fun and engaging when it's everyday people just filming on their phone, not caring about production to a point. And don't get me wrong, I think you do need both for different, types of interaction. But there's definitely something to be said about trust from people that are just having fun, and that includes people that are running their brands, that they just get in front of people and say, come spend come on my morning with me, and you're seeing their coffee order and then pick up their dry cleaning and whatever, like funny quirky things, like people love seeing that, and I think it does make a difference.
I remember what I was going to say,
Yeah.
going back to the authenticity. People are craving authenticity because in this world, everything is for the aesthetic. Everything is so polished. Even like the day in my life, girl, we know that you got out of bed, set up your camera on your tripod, went back to bed. And
yeah,
then got
please
up.
don't film yourself getting out of bed.
Give me a break.
Because
I
you
want to
either
see
set that
you.
camera up last night and it filmed you all night long, which is creepy, or you got up, got ready, put the camera up, got back into bed.
Because I don't know anyone that looks that good when they wake up. I want to
And
see
then, like,
you
the
rolling
rubbing
out of
their
bed
eyes
at
and
4
stuff,
a.m.
that
after you've
sounds
gotten
weird.
2 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Right. That. We want the real getting out of bed shot, or don't.
Yeah, or not at all.
Yeah. Well, what is the future goals for Editorial Edge? Where are you guys headed? What's the dream?
Honestly, we were talking about this before and we're like, ooh, what's a good answer for this? Because, I think like when we started this, it very much was just like, let's see if there's a market for what it is we're doing. And we've actually had really great feedback and people are really excited about what we're doing. And I think right now, like we haven't honestly put together the 5-year plan on this thing yet. But right now, I think we're just really enjoying the different industries and the different opportunities, and being able to be, I think, more interactive in these different parts of not only the Western industry, but even adjacent industries, going into, like we said before, outdoor and travel. And some of those people that maybe want to, just like the Western people want to move outward, some of those people want to move inward into the Western industry. So we're a great choice for that. But I think we're just enjoying the different opportunities to promote these different kinds of brands and organizations. And I think at this stage, it's just more about figuring out how can we serve these people, more authentically in a way that's really hitting home individually, and not just like a formula for everybody, but, on a client to client basis, really just digging in and seeing, obviously we work together really well, but seeing just how far we can take it together, to making things just really excellent and over the top. And yeah, that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. And just
Well, every time we get the chance to meet with you guys or work with you guys on a project or something like that, it's just a joy. So we love working with y'all.
Thank you. We also love
Carly,
with
sorry, I didn't mean
you.
to cut
We
you
love
off.
scootering and biking through the pouring rain in New York. But no, just building that portfolio, and it's been really fun to see kind of the other end of editorial. We were the editors putting together the magazines, but now working with the brands that want to be in the magazines, but not even necessarily that, just wanting to get their names more out there. That's been really fun. Instead being the presenters instead of the presentees.
Yeah. Having come from the other side, like, just, you guys have said this many times, but you already get it, and that is such an advantage for anybody who's looking to do any of that editorial PR, that kind of work. That is a huge advantage, working with people who were editors.
And it's fun.
It's not easy.
It's fun working with brands within the Western industry because we live the life. We know it inside and out. We're very familiar with it and all that it entails. And I think that's what gives us the advantage, not only editorially, but PR. Like, we get it.
Mhm.
I think
You know that when you write something, it's gonna sound like someone who from the industry wrote it. So that's a huge deal.
Yeah, and just going back to authenticity, I think the Western industry, above all else, it's very easy to spot if someone isn't necessarily from the Western industry. Not in a bad way,
Yep.
but it's very easy to point out.
You can get it wrong pretty easy. You know, like you can, it's like watching a military movie as like a military person, right? Like a service member of some kind. It's like they're not even wearing the right patches on that uniform. I've heard like friends of my dad and everything talk about that. Or my dad was a Marine, is a Marine. I don't think you get to say was a Marine, but he'll be like, that's not the right rank for a Marine, you know, like they'll use Navy terminology rather than Marine terminology. So not really much different in the Western world,
No.
right? Like you can get little things wrong that are so glaringly obvious to somebody in the industry. It's huge to have the right people.
My fiance and I have been on a King of the Hill kick. I don't know if any of you have watched King of the Hill, but there was an episode the other day and they went to a ranch in Montana and their saddle just had a back cinch. And I pointed it out right away. I'm like, there's not a front cinch or a breast collar. They're just rolling with the back cinch. Even though
They're
it's a cartoon, it's very
looking to
obvious.
get dumped out the back.
also, I just wanted to say that, like, beyond experience, like working in the like editorial, the actual magazines, I think because sometimes we can get maybe pigeonholed into like, oh, you know, she does the Western fashion, she writes about this, but also not only do we write and like work in that world, but we really are, like Carly's kind of touched on, we have a lot of experience hands-on, like we are part of that industry on the other side as well. You know, Carly and I both grew up rodeoing, and Carly's a fly fisherman, and we know the travel, we've traveled the West, like we have a lot of hands-on experience. It's not just waxing poetic about what the West is, which I think makes a difference when you actually put your foot down, you know, in some Western dirt and, you know, had these experiences or spent time on a ranch or whatever. And obviously we'll step outside of that comfort zone, but I think some of those core Western clients who are like, I don't know, you know, with I don't know that world and it seems separate from our world, that, you know, we totally meet you where you're at, and we understand that world as well from, you know, participation side. So
yeah, that's huge. I like, it's the whole reason, it's basically the theory behind our hiring theory, right? Like I would rather hire people who came from Western, who understand it. Doesn't really matter to me what piece of the industry that you came from, so long as you like get it, right? Like I need you to get it. It's a lot harder for me to teach you to love and understand Western or ag than it is for me to teach you how to run cloud campaign, right?
Right.
So like I can teach you a whole lot of skill if you're interested in it, but I can't teach you to love an industry you've never been exposed to. So
Exactly.
that's
And I think that not the upper hand, I think the advantage of being in the Western industry too and growing up in it is the work ethic that comes from it. Like I, you know, have applied to jobs when I was younger, and maybe on paper it doesn't look like I have a ton of experience, but I have in other ways, you know, with horses and just keeping to a routine and just mental strength and fortitude and just all of that, I think really comes in handy being in the Western industry.
well, that code
sure.
also,
Yeah.
I think that resonates across, like, no matter where, you know, what part of the country you're working in or whatever, like we all have that cowboy code like in us. It's one of those things that you either have or you don't, that all comes back to that work ethic. And I think some people who may have not been on a horse before they decided to pursue it, they have it, they go after that and have that grit. But I think that's something that people really do pick up on. And also why, I don't think we've really touched on this, but that is our advantage over going to maybe a more generic public relations agency, just Googling and picking anybody. Having worked in the retail world as a marketer as well, I've had a lot of experience working with those public relations firms and those marketing firms. And a lot of the time they really do miss the mark on what it is we actually are and who these people are as customers, as business owners. And that's something that a lot of outsiders, from a business perspective, just you don't have time as a business owner to explain who you are. And it's one less step when you work with us because we understand it already and we're on the same page.
You've been there. Yeah, it's a lot of you've been there, and that's a huge deal. Yeah. Scout, do you want to take us through our favorite question?
Yeah. So we release this podcast on Sunday nights as a soft launch to Monday. It can be anything, but what is your soft launch to Monday to help you get ready for the week ahead?
Ooh, that is a
Just kidding.
Do you want
I think, my fiance and I, we go to church every Sunday, and that is just such a good way, no matter what the message is, how can we apply it to the week? I think that is really my main thing. It just gets me into such a good mood. And after going to church and listening to our pastor, I'm like, yeah, I can make it through the week.
Perfect.
I agree. Starting your day with church and time with God is like number one and sets you up for peace. However, I feel like there's two kinds of people on Sundays. There's the people that work on Sundays, like they want the Sunday reset. I am not a Sunday resetter. I'm a Saturday resetter. So I have all of my, my house clean and everything, but I am a read a book in my hammock on my patio all day until dinner time.
I love
Sunday
that.
supper,
Yeah, that's nice.
homemade comfort food,
Mhm.
Sunday supper, and then early to bed. That is my perfect Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, I'm one of those work on Sunday people. I mean, church, and then I gotta clear out my inbox before Monday, or I can't handle it.
My one exception is I like to make my to-do list on Sunday night just so I can sleep. It's got to get out of my
Yes.
brain. So get all the week kind of pre-planned, and then I'm like, okay, hands up.
I just want to know. I want to
Yeah.
walk in Monday and get to work rather than have to clear out the noise from the weekend.
Exactly. I want to know what I'm doing on what day, also adding on to my Sunday meal prep for the week, just to keep things a little more organized so everything runs smoothly.
I wish I was good at meal prepping. That's a hard one for me. I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate you for being on. We love every minute we get to hang out with you guys, whether that's working or just friend stuff. So we're excited to have you on. Thank you. And anything else you want to put out there? Oh, how do people get a hold of you? Let's do that.
So you can email us at your.editorial.edge@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. Or on our personal social media or LinkedIn, I would say.
Awesome.
We do.
Well, thank you both. Go ahead.
Say,
Sorry, Andrea.
we're trying to become LinkedIn people. We're one of those where we post for a while and we're like on top of the LinkedIn game, and then we just go ghost for a couple months. We're trying to not do that too much, but we are starting more conversations about, if you're curious about just the concept of the benefits of editorial, we're really trying to dig into some of those topics and be posting about it over there. So yeah, LinkedIn's a great spot.
I love LinkedIn. I'm the same way with it though. Like I'll do really well for a while and then I don't do a darn thing for a while. So I get it. It's a struggle. Well, thank you both. Appreciate you. And we will drop all of your links in the show notes below so anybody can get a hold of you.
All right. Thanks so much.